Ready? So I am going to go ahead and get started. Before we start with the official meeting, we will open it up for owners' comments. And I just want to make a couple housekeeping notes before we get started. When you do your owners' comments, we will ask you to come over here, state your name, state your address, and then you will have 3 minutes to make your comments. At the end of 3 minutes, we will let you know it is the end of 3 minutes. We'll ask you to go sit down. If you don't sit down, we're going to ask you again to go sit down. If you don't sit down, we're going to ask you to leave. From there, once all the owner comments are done, we will begin our meeting. During that time, that is not open for any comments from the residents. It is something that is done within the committee. If there are any outbursts, if there's yelling at any time, again, we're going to ask you to leave. Again, I'm not trying to start this on such a negative note. There's just been some incidents over the past week that for everyone's safety, we just want to make sure we're collaborating together. The Parks and Recreation Committee has always welcomed comments. That is not any different tonight. So I want to welcome you all. I want to thank you for coming. And I'm just going to open up the floor for the first person. If anyone would like to make a comment.
This the spot?
It's a low podium, sorry.
Oh. Hi, I'm Brent Gibbs. I'm a resident for over a decade, 227 Acadia Terrace. Here to talk about the frustration I've been voicing for 8 years on tennis, and it's only gotten worse. I have not seen any progress in 8 years. I want to read a statement from our Celebration website. Our Celebration website says, living in Celebration has its reward. Among those are resident exclusive pools, playgrounds, parks, and facilities. Are tennis courts facilities? Okay, yes, they are. And so it's not exclusive. How the committee and CROA has contracted out over half of our tennis facilities to an independent third party, I have no idea how that's even legal. So what's happened is 5,000 plus residents and growing have not 3 tennis courts, 1 tennis court from 6:30 in the morning until about 11, because groups have 2 courts and a private contractor has the other 3. So you have 1 tennis court for 5,000 residents. You can look at the times. Residents cannot play weekdays from 4 to about 8 p.m. on 3 of the courts. Now you have 2 courts for 5,000 plus residents. That's not right. We need to move the groups back to at least 8:30. So you have 3 courts for 5,000 residents. That would only seem right. So you have groups 4 days a week. And then you have a contractor who has at least 1 court on Saturday. I was kicked off of a court last Saturday from the contractor on a non-scheduled court day because there was something going on at the high school. They couldn't use the court. As a resident, I'm told not to play in the courts that I pay to use. I understand the program's going to grow. There's about 30 new students coming from Star Island to here. So what's going to happen? More pressure on the courts. Those parents and kids, I guarantee you, will come to the courts before lessons, after lessons on the weekends, expecting they can use the courts that they take lessons on. I've suggested for years now, have a spot you can hang your name tag. I see people every day. It's not my job to police the courts, but I have to. And I feel like a schmuck, and it ruins your game for the next hour because you just kick people off the court. That's not my job. Have a simple tag. You hang your Crow ID or you don't get on the court. That again, it's not my job. I found out pickleball lessons were now happening in our courts. It's not my job to eliminate, to tell the committee, but I had to. That now there's pickleball lessons on our court. That's not right. They're not pickleball courts. The only solution is build new courts. And why CROA and the funds haven't been available to do that, I have no idea. So I'll pause here if there's any questions from the committee.
8 a.m. Were you saying AM or PM when you said things should move back?
The men's and women's groups have the courts. It used to be 8 or 9. Now it's 7:30 in the morning.
AM.
So that should be 8:30, 8 a.m. at least. And then you can get there at 6:30. You have an hour and a half max. Then you would free up 3 courts if you did. There's simple solutions. I've been here standing for 8 years and I'm done because not one of them have been enacted. I know Nikki and team did a study and saw the pressure on the courts. On Saturday mornings, there is 8 people deep waiting for courts. So again, how there's not facilities to expand that, I have no idea why there are no new courts at Evander, at Spring Park, at Island Village. Of course, builders don't want to use their lots to build courts. They'd rather sell $1 million house. I get that. You have to mandate. But again, we build pools, we build gyms, we build bike paths. We don't build new tennis courts. Again, I know you can't answer questions. Has Celebration contracted out their playgrounds and pools to daycares and other people? They haven't. But why they can do the tennis courts, I have no idea. It makes it, I don't know how it's legal. But here we are. Fix it, make it right for the residents that will like living here, and change the website because it's not exclusive use to the facilities, is it? It's not. Change the website. It's wrong. Thank you.
Diane and I are, Chris and Diane Finney, 1230 Right Circle in Artisan Park. How you doing? We've been fighting this battle forever, for well over 10 years, and have made presentations to you guys in the past and told you how this situation is not working.
I have a email record, I believe, Manners, Brand Manners also was keeping a file because I was on top of things and reporting underpayment by a businessman, Darren Holt, Advantage Tennis, that was going on for over 8 years because we had the honor system. I've shared the numbers with you, and I'm no accountant. It was over $100,000. Why you would continue to do business with someone who is unethical and cheating our community at a time when
Yeah.
it sounds like we need money surprises me. It really does sadden me to appear once again before Celebration leadership to fight for the rights of Celebration HOA dues paying residents to enjoy recreational tennis. From one court 10 years ago that the tennis committee allowed Darren Holt to offer tennis
We were
lessons
involved in that committee, by the way. We worked with Darren to set that up.
to offer tennis lessons to residents and Celebration school children. We now have a potential to allow 9 pros and 30 to 40 Star Island non-resort, non-residents to play tennis on a Celebration community tennis courts at Lakeside. I called up Star Island. I can't go on their courts unless I've got a blue band and I'm a resident of the resort that I'm staying there.
Right.
This doesn't seem fair. Does our charter protect a Celebration resident access to the community tennis courts over a non-resident? We should have priority, don't you think, over tourists? ID card. It's required to get into the bathrooms, to have access to Lakeside. We had to pay a $10 parking decal to park in Lakeside. No one is really going through there and towing people. There's a sign as you enter there saying that if you're you don't have the decal, you will be towed. It doesn't seem right. And why would the Park and Rec Committee allow non-residents use of the facilities that we pay for? I mean, are you going to put a porta potty out there for these students to use? And then this is just a weird thing. Why does Darren Holt of Advantage Tennis have use of the newest courts, 4 and 5, and not the oldest courts? I mean, the newer courts are close to the bathroom. As a resident, I find that to be a nice.
an inconvenience
Yeah,
for us as residents. So the situation has just gotten unmanageable. We are not going to be able to build more tennis courts. Matter of fact, we can't even seem to build pickleball courts in town. So we would just ask that you really take a hard look at this whole situation and scale it back significantly because it's out of control. We've not been able to manage it, and we need to do something about this as soon as possible because people are going to leave the community if we can't enjoy recreational activities like this. So thank you.
I'm Wendy Treat, 26-year resident with my family over on Long Meadow, 503 Long Meadow Street. Several of our family members play tennis. We try to get over there and play 4 or 5 times a week. We have definitely noticed an ever escalating usage by the private company. Advantage Tennis LLC is a private for-profit company. They are likely just simply doing the math, making $500,000 a year on the lessons that they're giving. Today alone, they were scheduling 28 and a half hours of court time. And their fees are listed on their own website at $90 an hour. So you can just do the math, and they're easily, dragging in a couple of $1,000s a day at least doing this. So it's about $500,000 enterprise every year. My biggest point here is that the resident amenities should be just for the residents. I know that sounds silly and simple, but the resident amenities should be for the residents. There should be no private for-profit situation being utilized. I have suggested to the rec department previously that if they want to do something fun, say for instance for the kids here, hire somebody to do a 1-week camp a couple of times a year, in the morning for a few hours, that kind of thing. If adults want to have lessons, they can go lots of other places to get tennis lessons. So we are providing these tennis courts to this private company. I'm sure that they're making a huge profit doing this. It's very disturbing to me that one of the other residents point out here that they have not even been paying their fees. When we talked with Grace in the rec department about a month ago, she had come over to talk to us about a situation, and she said that they were actually having people on the court for lessons and they were not reporting it in order to be able to collect fees. They were doing it recently. So they're cheating us. I'm sure the pittance that we are collecting from them is probably a very tiny amount compared to all of the CROA dues that we pay. We're already paying for maintenance of the tennis courts. We don't care about a $5 or $10 reduction in our CROA fees in order to, to have these people utilizing the courts. What we care about is having access to the courts. And the population here is way over 5,000. I believe it's at about 15,000 people now. So 15,000 people, 5 courts, just today, 28 and a half hours of scheduled court time. That's not unusual. If you look on your own facility calendar, you will see that there are multiple days that courts 3, 4, and 5 are being taken up during all the prime hours. Most of the right.
My name is David Harris, and I've lived here 24 years. I'm at 1063 Nash Drive. I represent the Men's Open Play Group. Number one, I want to thank the board. It's a thankless task, and I've never come in to do any of these meetings. So thank you for volunteers because it's a thankless task. And thank you, Nikki, for being a filter for everybody coming to you and complaining. I represent the men's open play with Kane Wave. Yeah, Kane and I, we inherited the group with, from George Ruth. It's been around 14 years. We went out to play and they invited us in to play. We couldn't play worth crap. And they invited us to play and allowed us. We have approximately 23 to 25 guys, all ages. Some of the sons, 13, 15, 18, a couple of women, and some men that are 75 and 81 years old. We play 2 days a week for 3 hours each day. We accept anybody that wants to play. So you guys can play and Brent and Gary can come and play with us. Everybody can play. Anybody in the community is accepted. But I believe in my heart that we have the best utilization of the courts. And the reason I'm here is just to let you know that we exist and who we are. We do a round robin. So that means that there's 4 people on each court and 3 or 4 waiting to play. So literally you have anywhere between 12 and 15 to 18 people waiting to play. Some come early because they have to work at 9 o'clock, just like these guys are boxed in to be able to play singles. And some people come later because they've dropped their kids off. They got the kids ready for work and they come a little later. Some of the older guys can't take the heat, so they come between the early hours and then they leave. And some of the younger guys come and play a little bit harder and faster the later we play. Basically, the span of time allows flexibility, and the camaraderie that this group has given us is priceless, particularly for men. And fellowship, the friendships, the exercise has been invaluable to this group. I believe in my heart it's the best use of the courts. If the courts have been built for celebration residents, there's no better use than the men's group. It's the hallmark of what celebration was built on and what it's about. It's created opportunities for us to connect outside the group that probably would have never happened had it happened, had we not been part of the group. Please do not cut the men's group. Please do not cut back our hours. And please, but I do hear you, Brent, and I think we should shift to 8 or 8:30 because I hear you, because these guys are boxed in. So because as singles players, they don't want to play doubles. They want to play singles and they want to get exercise, but they can't get out there because there's one court. But do you get rid of 25 other people that are playing for 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 guys? No, but at the same time, they need to play because work constraints. So and I love playing with those guys myself. Any questions? Because I would love for you to ask me questions because I agree with every single thing that everybody just said there, but I didn't want to make it personal. I just wanted you to know that I was here and somebody's asking a question.
Can the audience ask a question?
It's up to you, Vic.
Questions, right?
Thank you very much for the committee's time.
Can I make the record state that I'm not asking for them for it to be?
Oh, yeah. I know he's saying, I know what he's saying. What he's saying is that he's not asking us to be gone, and I know that, and I love him, and he and I are friends. What he's saying is he just wants us to shift so he can play too. And we agree 100%. Yes, but the problem is 40% of it's gone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Jose Orsini, I live in 1845 Beach Ridge Road, Island Village. I just moved in 2 years ago. I wanted to start by saying I love this town. It's a great town. I mean, I love the people. I play tennis with the guys. I mean, great group, awesome group. I love it. So someone was discussing numbers, 500K or something. I'm an engineer, so I crunch numbers. I looked at the Advantage tennis contract this afternoon, and I have some numbers for you. So based on the schedule that's posted there by the courts, they use an estimated 85 hours of court time per week, right? It's not the 85 hours, it's when the 85 hours happen. It's prime time, right? By my calculation, I estimate 30% of that usage, 30% of the total prime time usage available court time is taken by Advantage Tennis, right? They have a monthly payment of just over $1,500, right? But that comes out, if we calculate and factor in the hours of usage, that comes out at less than $5 per hour of cost to, and this is not by court. This is $5 per hour, whether they're using 2 courts, 3 or 1, right? So, I mean, that's completely ridiculous, right? Add to that I've been here only 2 years. Well, for the 2 years that I've been here, I played with broken nets that we had to fix ourselves, right? That's completely out of place. I mean, we pay a lot of money here as residents for fees for the use and enjoyment of courts, which should be high grade, should be almost professional courts. I mean, these are BS courts. I mean, you walk on the courts, they're completely unlevel. The surface is completely wrong. I mean, it's a joke, right? Another issue with the contract that I see is that it stipulates that 50% of the roster has to be made up of residents, right? But it also, part of the 50% is also K-8 children and teachers as well, right? So if they enroll kids from school, residents or not, that counts towards the 50%. That's completely wrong, right? This should be 50% pure bona fide residents, period, right? And then the final thing is that parking is a big issue, right? Why are parents waiting for kids occupying parking spaces for 3 hours, right? Sisters and brothers are just riding skates, scooters all over the place, right? It's really dangerous if you're trying to back up during a peak hour. It's really, really hard to back up and try not to hit a kid, right? So, I mean, security, safety is paramount. I don't see any enforcement at all. These guys were kicked out of a court. I was there. I was playing on court 3 when they got kicked out. Nothing on the schedule. They were getting ready to play and they were asked to leave the court, right? That should not be happening, right? So that's it for me. Thank you for the time.
Hello, everybody. How are you? Nice to see you. I'm not as good a speakers as these guys, but I'm in a tennis tournament at the moment. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm Gary Armstrong, live in Artivan Park, better known as Gary Lavinia, the violinist. I'm in a tennis tournament at the moment, which is out of town. It's called the Ultimate Tennis Tournament, and there's a few sort of local tournaments that we enter, and basically. It's a tournament where you play people and sometimes they come to your courts and other times we go to their courts. And obviously I've been going all over Orlando to play, but when it's time for them to come to Celebration this week, every single match I've had to go to their courts, even though, they're scheduled to come to Celebration, because unless it's sort of 11 till 4 in the afternoon, which is the only time we can seem to play at the moment, we can't literally play in the mornings or the evenings. So just thought I'd point that out. Obviously a bit concerned about the Star Island thing. I've just heard about that in the last couple of days. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but like you say, if 20, 30 people come into Celebration to have tennis lessons, I can guarantee, and you know it's going to, everyone that goes to those courts knows that those people that come to these courts are going to turn up, and unless they do 5 or 6 recos a day with the card showing you are a resident here, people are literally going to turn up. And we've had the problem of non-members and non-residents playing tennis on our courts for a long time now. We've seen it. Everyone that plays tennis there knows people come in getting away with it. Occasionally you see someone coming in, and every time I see someone coming in carding people, I think it's wonderful. And I thank you so much for carding people. Please keep doing that. The groups, Dave, I love that. I was in the groups myself and occasionally play with you guys. Love it. But if we can just get that back to 8:30, that means that frees up 2 courts. That's the easiest thing on the whole thing. That's the easiest fix. Just put it back to 8:30 in the morning, so people like me and Brent or anybody else that can turn up at 6:30 and have a full game of tennis. I turned up at the court the other day and the 4 ladies turned up on court 3, four residents, and 6:30 it was still dark. They couldn't play because the 7:30 group matches were about to start, and they literally had to wait an hour. And of course, when people are waiting, you're playing tennis and at the clock, that's pretty good. That's awkward. Occasionally we've been playing, and even though there's courts blocked off from Advantage Tennis, they've just sat there unused. It doesn't happen very often, but we've seen it. We've been playing, and no one's going to those courts because they've been blocked off, and there's been no one on there for the whole time. But I haven't seen it recently. I've got to be honest with you, but I have seen it, and that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Barbara Reeve Sharma, 1067 Nash Drive. As a resident of Celebration for 22 years, I've had the opportunity to see tremendous amount of growth throughout this community. The recreational amenities built and provided to the residents have certainly felt the strain of the increased population, the tennis courts included. I have 3 concerns regarding the current tennis court usage. Celebration Tennis has experienced exponential growth in its program throughout the last 12 years. What initially occupied 1 court with 1 pro has now moved on to the use of 2 or 3 courts, depending on the time and the day of the week, with 9 pros on staff. This represents a 40 to 60% usage of a residential amenity. To my knowledge, there is no other partner program in Celebration that utilizes a residential amenity to this extent. With the recent announcement from Celebration Tennis of their merger with another tennis academy from outside Celebration, this creates 3 issues that I am concerned with. First, there is an increased use of residential amenity of non-residents. Secondly, the scheduled use of the courts by the amenity provided to them will only further increase. And lastly, the increase of non-user residents using the courts who will be monitoring the overflow. They'll want to come early, they'll want to stay late, and they will feel that they have the use of our courts being non-residents. Another issue to consider is our HOA fees provides the maintenance and the repairs of these courts. We then surrender this amenity to Celebration Tennis, which has continued to rapidly expand, become a very profitable business with no overhead and only a small usage fee. Lastly, as the residential growth continues within Celebration with the addition of Island Village and the apartments, the tennis court amenity is only going to become more desirable. At this time, I feel that Celebration Tennis has grown beyond what we are able to provide from our amenity. I think the partner program has served an important role in our community over the years, and for those that have utilized it, have certainly enjoyed, myself included. Although it's exponential growth, and this is their words, not mine, exponential growth for Celebration Tennis has outgrown the Lakeside Tennis Court facility. Please remember that tennis courts were built for residential use as an amenity, not for a tennis club to run a business. Thank you.
I'm Welsh and I'm at 817 Oak Shadows. And I agree with everything that's been said. And I was thinking of what I might add to this. Hi, Robert, how you doing? Thought what I might add. So my background is in audit, internal control, and I was head of audit for some of the largest corporations in America. And I don't know if you guys remember, there was a spark plug ad back in the 80s, and it said, we look at every spark plug so you don't have to, right? And with the quality process, that all changed, right? If you have to look at every spark plug, you aren't making very good spark plugs, okay? So when you look at whatever system you put in place here, if you don't put controls in place that you don't have to come down and see someone to confirm that everything is being done according to Hoyle, it's just not going to work. I don't know, Brent, he looks like he'd kick my ass in tennis, so that's probably why I haven't run into him. But his point of putting, you have to use the pass to get into every pool, into everything else. Why not put it on the board? And if I was stupid enough not to bring my pass and someone comes up and say, hey, we don't see a pass on the board, I got to leave. And people that understand that will respect the process. So what I'm asking is, when you do look at whether it's controls over Darren or controls over the people even from the community properly using courts, look for something that's simple and verifiable and consistent and, something that you can continue and that you don't get into this. And I've seen it. There's been some ugliness that just shouldn't be there on courts that are meant for us to use. And, and all of us back here, I think, have experienced getting kicked off an open court because it is designated for a training session. I coach high school tennis. And so I've been pushed a bit because I give people lessons. I know that's a bad word, for free. I love the game. Just, hey, anyone who wants to come out, I'll show you, wax on, wax off. We'll go through it. And they love it. And actually it creates more business for Darren because they don't pay $90, $100 to learn the basic strokes. And then they'll go and say, oh, now I kind of like this game. And then they'll go to Darren so he's actually benefits from it, but he's been, what the hell are you doing? I'm just kind of teaching basics. So I digress, which I do oftentimes. I will feel like that Geico commercial. But in any event, try to get controls in there that are verifiable and that people don't have to be jerks to enforce them. Everyone understands how it works and they function effectively. Thank you.
My name is Tim Hannon, and I live at 924 West Park Drive. And I am a former happy tennis player, played here for several years. I hurt myself, a rotator cuff injury, and I could no longer serve a tennis ball. And I started playing pickleball. And so I just wanted to let people know I am completely in agreement with everything that's being said about tennis. I loved it. It's too few courts. Absolutely understand. I participated for several years. I know Gary. I don't know a couple of you. I think I know Chris from. But anyway, I absolutely believe everything that has been said about the lack of courts and the ridiculous ability to make profit on something that we pay for day in and day out. The only thing I would just remind the committee here, it's not to take away from your needs, but pickleball, we are relegated to borrowing one tennis court from Georgetown. We set up our own 4 courts, we tear them down every time. And I think it's just too bad that in the 25-year history, we had one referendum overturned by, I think, an ill-formed vote. So I just wanted to echo what the tennis community has been saying. I wish my rotator cuff would allow me to still play tennis, but somebody mentioned what great rapport. I have met so many wonderful people, and with pickleball, women play equal with men. It's really wonderful. So anyway, please remember the committee that we really need some pickleball. It will mirror what these people have been enduring. Thank you.
This completes the owner's comments section of the committee meeting today. That we're going to do a call to order and verify attendance. We do have a quorum. Each of you will have the agenda in front of you. I'd like to give you a moment just to review it and ask if there's a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Marco, do I have a second? Thank you, Lindsay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Unanimous vote. Okay. Our first action item is the lakeside tennis courts. We're going to open this up for discussion. If you can mind the comments that we have heard. I will start it off by saying that I do think there's definitely a need for some enhancements. And I'm going to offer just a couple of suggestions that I've been brainstorming. And then we will open it up for discussion and you guys can say yay, like it, don't like it, crazy, whatever you want. So, I think one of the best things that we can add to Lakeside is a park monitor. This will solve not only problems in the tennis courts, but this will also solve problems at the basketball courts. I've been working with Nikki to ask her, and I'm not sure we have it yet, crunching numbers, so that we will be able to present that to PROA and we would have hard facts to work with. This would be something that would be there during the peak times, not something that is there 24 hours a day or anything like that. And the peak times would also include peak times of basketball in addition to tennis. We do know that there are people that are teaching lessons on the courts that are not with Advantage Tennis. And I think that is leading to some of the problems of everybody thinking Advantage Tennis is using all the sport. However, if I'm a resident and I want to invite Catherine with my past to use the sport, resident or not, Catherine should be teaching me a lesson that if someone comes up to me, I can say, oh, no, I got my pass, Catherine, it's my friend here, that's all there is to do. What we do behind the scenes is a whole nother story. And we do know some of that is going on. However, Catherine's with me at 10 o'clock and Lindsay at 11 o'clock and Marco at 12. She may be all of our friends, but now we have a pattern here. And if she's there every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, now we really have a pattern here. And that's some of what the park monitor can help control us. They will be watching for that and they can tell what is happening for lessons. There has been questions in regards to what additional lessons are being given. And we do have a contract for a business in town to give those lessons. And that is something that we have one for everything. We have one for tennis, one for soccer, one for dance. For each genre of a sport or art, we have one business in town, and that is who is allowed to do those things. So that is one of the possible solutions. Another possible solution is not only showing your key card, but key card access. Is it something that you tap to get in, not just show for something like that? Another possible solution is signage. So if Advantage Tennis, who we have the contract with, has, I'm going to give an example of like a vinyl canvas sign that says class in session or whatever, and it's hung on the gate with carabiners. When someone goes to call the park monitor, if it's off hours and they don't have a Lake Street park monitor, the first thing that park monitor can ask is there a sign on the gate? And then if they say no, they know that's not something that's authorized. If they say yes, and it's not the authorized time, the park monitor knows to go over and take care of it accordingly. So that's another possible solution. I do think that us as a committee should definitely propose adding more courts and the cost that comes with it and begin that to look at it. I don't know what that looks like. I'm not the architectural engineering behind that, but I would suggest a minimum of 2 courts. I don't know where this goes. I don't know how it works. I don't know if that's new construction, but I would suggest that we begin that conversation. I do think if and when those new courts are added, I do think parking is an issue. Hopefully, again, that park side monitor would be able to help keeping the kids, hey, bud, why don't we get off our scooter in the middle of the road, you're gonna get run over, you know, that kind of thing. I do think that would help with that. And I do think that we have heard from the community that pickleball is a request, is something that is looking to be added more and more. And maybe we look at how those 2 courts work with pickleball or not. Again, that's something we could explore further. I don't know that. I'm not saying we have to pick one of these. Maybe we like number 1 and number 4. I don't know what that looks like. But I'm gonna throw all that out to you and then open it up on the board for discussion.
I think it was, we touched on like 2 years ago, there was discussions about the app hopefully being able to start booking towards. Is that still in the works? Will that ever happen? I think that would also help.
I mean, I think it's
almost ready to roll. It's just been a headache to get them to customize it to the celebration. They're doing a lot of behind the scenes customization for us. The other piece though, which doesn't really get addressed by the app, is you're still gonna have people that are showing up even if it's booked to utilize it. Still have a prime time problem. I mean, yes, it will help in some semblance, but obviously.
It's not solved.
Yeah,
I think it will just help.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's still, we're trying to. bring that.
What is it,
That's-
running cycle takes?
It's early in the morning and late afternoon, early evening, so the cooler hours.
So I hear who advantage tennis, but what's celebration tennis?
It's the same.
And obviously you can get less than anybody have outside of this.
As long as it's 50%, and that's consistent with all the programs we have. So, and K-8 and high school students are considered in that, because the idea would be we want the youth to be able to play with people. So they are accounted towards that 50%. In swimming, stands, whether it's soccer, little league. What are we charging Advantage Trust to be able to use those? That is in their contract. They're the 1,550. That's what percentage of their.
So with the previous committee, what we discussed, the previous board, that we were trying to get them to meet a certain percentage of like, correct me, it's like about 9%. The goal with this committee is we were trying to, towards like June, July, have audits on their financial statements. And they would have to provide that for us. And Darren would have to give us 20% of the revenue piece.
And this goes back to the price, no, every month, I remember. Yeah, so that would then be able to review all the tax documents, but then that establishes your rate the next year.
Right. And that's just his status.
Is he delinquent to his payments or is he correct? He's correct. That's fine. I've read it mentioned something.
This is where we talk about for every recreational program, they turn in what they're doing by a certain month. We review it, we give them an assessment, we present it to Perla so that they are able to work on it as a finance committee and do the final. So this would be an annual review for every program based on what they're bringing in on actual tax documents. They have to produce an actual document. It can't just be, I made X. We need. And again, this is her.
I recall, I just didn't, yeah, I'm back to this specific. What about the potential, and maybe only simple, just saying, so you can only use them. What is this residence?
We can't say that. We have.
Sorry, this is what about the potential of just saying. And it's just only use one word.
Yeah, that would be great.
And the other one. It's large or-
There is that there is demand in the community and part of being a community. It's having lessons that are available to you, whether you're youth or adult. And we offer that against every other program with multiple different venues to do that. And so last thing we did was limit the amount of time. And then did it,
We keep the Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays, youth program.
Then there's no limit on time.
there is a limit on that.
Wait a minute, if there's no limit.
Every case, what, please stop. So from there, that's what's going on.
I love to see the invitation from the residents, but you need to keep in mind, in 2019, we opened for all residents to come and talk with us and with the right fit. And they are bringing, I believe, 50 residents talking different than residents from the play. So it was a thing that time the course said, okay, if I show up as a resident, I want to play tennis, and there I want there, how long we want to be outside waiting for him to finish. It's the same question for the resident. With 2 residents or 4 residents just playing tennis, how long did you wait to play tennis?
It is 1 hour, so it is not.
From that group.
If it's a scheduled time like a lesson, then it's a scheduled lesson. So if there's a lesson at 6 and 7 o'clock, there's not a timer, that's 1 hour for that group and 1 hour for that group. If it is, I'm a resident on the court and someone is waiting to play on the court, I am able to stay for 1 hour. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
But just make it, we have rules to begin and end.
And again, a park monitor is gonna be able to help.
I think that's.
Monitors, I mean, you're gonna be able to watch the situation that's there.
So why don't we just make this a celebration? That's all. There's 50% of them are gonna have.
That's gonna take lessons.
Why do we change it? So why would we?
It's something that would be across the board for all programs. So we can't highlight it as one programs.
But the other programs are already having.
Yes.
scheduling conflict.
There are some in some conflict.
Why couldn't it be, because tennis is unique, it's not a rule. You know,
It would be a swimming lane, it would be a soccer field, it would be a dance lesson in a room. So we did have trouble with dance in multiple meetings so we have to go through this with dance for years.
Why can't it be a case by case? Tennis or dance?
We would keep it consistent amongst all recreation. Just so we're not getting one different.
But the lessons in prime time then.
Group on 2 days a week. For the youth. It's only for the youth that are in the prime. So.
After school.
So we couldn't do earlier than 1 hour during the day because they're in school.
And your school gets out.
That's the other thing. Well, one thing that they're outside. School gets out at 4.
The problem allocated one court to them, is too much rate.
Yeah, so we have, my understanding is that we have more than one court, we have different age groups with different level of play, and it's a safety issue. And we have, so you wouldn't want a 6th grader playing with the kindergarten. So, you know, well, I think this is a problem.
They used to just, or they used to, there are now less hours before the time when they get to school, very short.
Yeah, this guy's activities, because it's the same time everybody gets off work.
So it got very difficult because we also, there was a kindergarten thing, right? Now, high schoolers get out earlier, but they got lumped in with middle school time.
So as far as non-residents, speaking with other committees, such as the living committee, I do know that it is a concern about being non-residents. So another thing that this would be not tennis specific, and this is very green in my mind, so that was with me. I am at my house, my husband and 2 kids, and we go to the basketball court. And legally, we can both all bring 4 people with us. So my family can bring 16 people to the basketball court. We all show our IDs. It's totally legit on how to do that. Same would be with tennis, with swim, anything like that. Same on 4th of July. If they're having an event, we're bringing 16 people with us because it's loud. So there was something that was thought about that if per address, you had a certain amount of guest passes you could bring, you would get per year. And for easy numbers, I'm just gonna say 10. So if my address, I get 10 passes per year. And I know that on Saturday, I'm gonna take 3 people with me to the Circle Pool over off East Lawn. On Friday, I would go to town hall. I would say, I would like 3 passes, please. And they would say, okay, Sarah, you have 10, you took 3, you have 7 left. Saturday, our monitor comes, specific pass for that specific location at that specific date that they are able to use that. Fast forward a few months, I've used all 10 of my passes. Then is it something that we start charging for an additional pass up to 25? Again, I have no idea what this number says. We have to do a lot of research on it. You say, okay, it's $5 for the next 25 more passes. and I pay that $25. Then at some point we say, okay, we can't keep bringing 4 people onto the basketball court every single day and it'd be okay. So that's another thing that we could look at. That would not only solve tennis, that would solve basketball, that would solve events, that could solve multiple different things. Multiple things to research in that is there software that helps us do that? Is there labor, there will be labor involved for the front desk? What is the cost on to the town? So again, very green, but something that may solve multiple things unless you are in a program like Little League, let's say. Little League, you are allowed to come and play in that season. Again, if you are a resident or if you are going to pay in this case. Little League is probably a bad example because they also have boundaries that they have for their specific program. But things like that would allow them to play on the baseball fields from February to May for that season.
Maybe. Same idea.
The 50-50, they said, that's just for lessons, that's not
That's
so.
just for.
I can bring, I can
It's
say,
just part of
so I can, if I go play tennis, I can bring 3 people.
every single day.
Maybe the 50-50 is apply that to, you can't bring them, you want to be 3 people.
That's gonna talk to is how do you limit how many you can bring with you on the pass? I think Celia, I know you're with the.
I think, technology is working on that with Gallagher.
Yeah, so with the Gallagher, the new heat scan system, there will be a different way to track how many people you're bringing into events. So we could potentially issue per ID or per address, only X number of, like, so let's say just for your number of state, you only get to, per address, you only get to bring 2 people into each event that are non-residents. So then even if Victoria shows her card now, if her husband shows up later with 2 other people and tries to show his card, the system is going to tell me they already brought 2 people into this event. I'm sorry, these people can't come.
That's what they're working on.
I was the events and issuing passes. I would have to talk to the technology committee about how that might work for amenities.
Because we've definitely heard the residents on the frustration of that. And it's not just tennis, it is multiple amenities in town, whether it be the pool, you know, having a birthday party, whether it be, you know, the basketball court, you know, something like that.
I think a pool, I think a dance is, it's different, if basketball, tennis, you really, so many people. So, yes. I think we should begin doing this together. I think.
Well, I would disagree because I think we have a prime time problem at the inside. Because, and I'm not trying to knock the swimming program, but they utilize a lot of the swim lanes at Lakeside Pool and in the middle of summer and in the fall, that pool is jam packed with people. And it's very hard for residents to just come in and use the pool because the swim team, not only our partner program, but the high school is using it as well. So it's packed.
I agree with that too, because even now, it was a birthday party, 25 children. There's some nice passes. They were not the residents, and I got yelled at once, because I brought my visitor and her 2 children. Like, they're not residents. It's like, well, sorry, it's school, nobody else is here, what's the big difference? Oh, no, absolutely. But they were like, there's too many people, because then one of her daughters, what, 2 little ones, yeah, now almost 4 people in there. I don't need to prepare rest and food.
Yeah, but I think this is where it comes back to, we have to create a framework that works and can be enforced across all of the different programs so that it is black and white, it's fair, it's reasonable, and we need to be able to communicate expectations.
Here, but is amenity considered a program?
No, so this is where, again, whatever is divided, I think that's above our pay grade, not that anything is paid. But I think we need to then communicate with events, with current board members, how they want to approach that issue, because I do think that's something you should make recommendations, but I think that is.
Yeah, we have 2 different boxes that are, unless that's a program and one that I'm a resident and piece of amenity.
I think once you kind of have a framework of idea of what you're kind of looking for to establish across the board, then I would say at that point, engage with technology
Yeah.
And see what we can use Gallagher for, what we can use Owner for, the app we reference, and if there's something else that we need to help bridge the gap there.
So what are actionable solutions that we can implement or maybe recommendations? I liked a lot of your ideas.
Yeah.
I think the
Monitors,
monitor.
do you want to get a monitoring number of monitors?
Oh, do you have it, please?
Yeah, I don't need to get that, but I did click that too. So if you're doing a full-time employee, including just a rough estimate on their benefit cost and the burden rate, it's $49,380 a year for full-time. And for monitor salary.
Is that 7 days a week?
That was 40 hours, it would be 40 hours.
So
One person, 40 hours a week.
one person, 40 hours a week, but we need a pool monitor, we need a park monitor from dawn to dusk, or like dawn
That's what
to.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
so I mean, you can extrapolate this out to however many months. So a full-time person, $49,380.
And that includes benefits.
That includes benefits and the labor burden rate that would be the part of the contract. If you're just doing a part-timer, so 30 hours or less, you don't pay benefits, you just pay the burden rate. So that's $26 a year if you're at 30 hours a week.
And ideally, the times of problem for both basketball and tennis in the morning would be from 6:30 to 9. Okay.
That would be a 4 to 8
It could be two, because not
You
trying
could
to
do
part.
you could do 2 part-timers that are 20 hours each,
Right.
or, 45 hours each, but I'm just giving like,
Yeah,
what we have generally, what has been historically booked for part-timers even before Grand Manners came on was a 30-hour a week kind of time frame. That way, if they bumped up to that because we needed them, then we weren't going over budget, but you could go all the way down to 1 day if you needed to. So it could have some seasonality to it if you needed to.
so if you did 4 hours Monday through Friday, we talked about Saturday and Sunday in a bit, that's 20 hours right there. If you did 4 to 8 p.m., that's another 20 hours. So that could be 2 part-time people. That would actually be a little less than this number because it's 20 hours versus 30 hours. Are there any trouble times Saturday and Sunday? I have to think what basketball there is that we want to park monitor as well.
Correct. We have been to phone calls on Saturday.
And what times on Saturday? Yes, you're looking at the. Just, you're looking at that. I would listen to 6:30. 6:30 on Saturday.
Well, I would at least recommend 4-hour minimum.
Okay.
And at least that way, management can do it and just shift.
Okay. And on Saturday and Sunday, are prime times in the evening as well, or not so much?
We have only received phone calls.
Okay.
I personally. Concerns on the evenings, the only concern we had received was folks playing pickleball on courts with tools. We've been having a staff member go out there and he hasn't seen it at times.
Okay. So ideally, we're looking at a total of 48 hours a week. Again, I would recommend being split across 2 part-time people, and that would be our recommendation.
But this is just for 1 month.
Yes.
So how many monitors do we actually need?
I would say we start with 1. And they would do just that lakeside area. And then if it is not controlled in that time, we would bring in ideally that monitor for his or her feedback. This is what I'm killing, this side, go over here to check this, and this goes out of control. Yeah,
I'm sorry. Two questions.
yeah.
It's gonna cost $49,000, 40 hours a week. Do we make $49,000 off this partner program? No, so we're gonna put a full-time, we're gonna pay $49,000 to monitor the tennis courts.
It's not even for the tennis.
I know, it's the basketball because that's my pain point with basketball.
Also, non-residents using the tennis court.
Right, but I really think maybe we need the cameras and maybe we need to get that key card access so that,
Residents have residents have priority. Can we implement the shingle and the key cards and more checks like that before?
because I don't think, I don't know.
Well, I have to do key card access at Lakeside, you gotta run additional wiring.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's not cheap. I mean, some of those fences are low, so you're gonna have to raise them,
Right.
otherwise they're very easy to jump.
What is your suggestion?
I mean, I can ask Jose for a rough ballpark for what rewiring think, but I still don't think that key card is gonna solve the problem, because I'll give you a perfect example. This weekend at North Village, there's a very large birthday party in the playground. A staff member was sent up there, they had enough IDs for all of the guests that were non-residents. A key card doesn't fix the non-resident usage of the facility problem.
And Celia, too, 28 of those 48 hours are early morning and not necessarily when that partner program is functioning.
Can we also clarify what the club hours are, and do they fall under the same category of all clubs in the service frame, like the framework or something together? How does that work?
So the goal is we consider clubs, talk about the groups they consider.
Like, and what hours are they using right now?
So twice a week. I believe right now it says 7:30 to 10:30. For each day, so I believe 6 hours.
And it's variable, so it's variability. So there's two different clubs, and what hours are they using?
The two club days use the morning prime time, so they have the courts.
I guess a bunch of stuff.
Men's club and the ladies club.
I was gonna say
7:30 to 10:30, 2 times a week.
I have a Charles, he's online. Wow.
Okay. Hey, Charles.
Hey, sorry, I want to just add a little more color to what Celia was saying, and I do think the technology aspect, you can't necessarily dismiss that, because you also have to think about the vandalism aspect. And the park monitors, obviously, we're not gonna have park monitor stuff there, during the non-peak hours or when it's closed. So I do think if there's some combination of that, because I just don't think it's sustainable to just kind of throw staffing at this. I do think there has to be some combination of technology, whether that be cameras plus keypad plus, a rotating floating staff member. But I feel like there has to be some, and obviously we have, ONR and all these other technologies. There has to be a way to kind of leverage some of this. And again, not just kind of throw staffing, which again, then what happens if we lose an employee, right? Then we're kind of back trying to sort that out. That's just not sustainable.
So for those who can hear, Charles was saying he would like a piece of technology as well as a personal piece to it. Thinking that if someone resigns from the job, then you have a hold for a moment. There's been some vandalism issues that the technology piece would help with as well. And when the park monitor's done at 8 p.m., whatever. So he would suggest that there would be multiple different recommendations kind of tied in together. Right, Charles?
Yeah, I'm throwing it out there for you all to, you all as a committee. I think, and again, these are things that we'd have to think about from a budget perspective with staffing. We don't have that right now. So that's a 2025 discussion. So what are the things that we could potentially impact pretty quickly? You know what I mean? I think technology could be there, maybe easier than staffing, I think.
You said we just have to keep on mind to go to the children.
Does the dentist tend to fit like uniforms they wear when they teach? Is there like a logo or something that will support some support?
No, that was actually brought up to Darren, and there was a conversation about doing that, and then it shifted over to the signs. Because if Catherine works for Advantage Tennis and she has the shirt, and then she quits tomorrow, she can still go out the shirt tomorrow. So the thought was with the banner, you could either ask for the banner back, you could either create a new banner, and that would be cheaper than giving everyone shirts. And again, this was something that was talked about for more than just tennis. This was talked about for all programs.
Yeah.
Because there is a problem community-wide in identifying. If I teach tennis, I'm still a resident, so I may just want to go play tennis as a resident. But now everybody thinks I'm giving a lesson. So if the banner's not up, they could say Victoria's teaching a lesson, and they would say, is the banner up? And they would say no, and the park monitor would come out and go, I'm not teaching, I'm just playing, I'm just using the amenity as resident. So there's that too. And again, that would apply to multiple different, whether it's a swim lesson or other programs as well. Because a swim wouldn't be able to have a certain bathing suit, but at least they could hang the sign.
Is the first, I think the first step is club seems willing to push back. Is that the first step, maybe stressed? I just said
The first step is to just in time. And they have to submit paperwork just like every other decision. But if they don't submit the paperwork, they not get their name.
And the tennis court's officially open to be used at 7 or 7:30.
That's 7.
Okay. So if it was available for a full hour of use before the clubs came in, that would be 8 AM.
What are they now? They're 7:30 to 10:30.
So that's why their concerns that you can't get a full meeting.
Yeah.
If it's 8:30, I am not a tennis player. If it's 8:30, is that 1.5 games, or is that really more feasible for 1 game?
I personally don't think tennis myself, just say yes or no. 1 hour is good.
Is an average game an hour or an hour? Okay, so then 8:30.
Listing the hours usage.
They are, they are also done. The problem is again, that there are teachers saying that they're teaching in their advantage. That may be current teachers or not, or they could just be, they could be from out of town and I invited them as a resident.
I think having it have tags, not the obvious, easy, right, but. Or do not one of our partner programs, that's easy.
And by tag, do you mean a sign identifying the program or their?
That and their organization.
And I know we've had this conversation, who actually volunteers these teachers? How do we know? How do we know who's teaching?
So there were pictures of.
Right, our team has a copy of their.
That's what I said. I was thinking fans aspect, we submit full rosters, addresses.
And they.
That's the response.
I think you guys, they do really, who responds to that, check and see that they actually.
We have a part of.
The contracts.
Again, having that monitor would be frequency, would be familiarization. And they should have on the board, let's say, yes, I've had to speak 2024, yeah. And look at it that way.
I wish there were a way they could figure out that, I think it should be more.
It was actually lower. It used to be 70-30 and so 70% resident, 30% non-resident. And it was in my first year, so that's 3 years ago, on the committee that they lowered it because we were turning away in schools. And it was in multiple programs. So kids that they were K, they were not high schoolers. They were K, we were turning away that weren't able to play soccer with their friends or baseball with their friends or tennis with their friends. And that's when it got lower.
In light of what's going on with the field, the schools are getting used to, right, so they're having a conversation about tennis courts.
There is at the high school tennis courts, those are being used, so.
But aren't there some in middle school?
Those got turned into basketball. Right?
Right, they're gone.
Okay, they're gone.
No tennis courts?
No, it's fine.
They all got turned into basketball.
Which we're not allowed to do.
No, but there is, I do know from a PROA standpoint, Charles had told me that he's a school liaison. We are gonna try and start seeing that bridge. Because it's needed. For multiple years.
You can wait, right? Can we keep it possibly zone? Can we bring telecom, people that fields, right fields, the curves that have that.
Individually or as a program?
Individually, as far as we have the document that they ask. You cannot tell us what's in. It's not a long-term deal.
And it's their budget.
We're gonna have to score this deep part of the muscle. It's. Right side, 10
Put into courts. That's an.
That's it alone.
Yeah.
What's?
You put into courts. Okay, so I know we have a lengthy agenda, so I'm gonna try and summarize this, so you guys tell me too much long or not.
I don't have to bring it up morning, right?
We are talking about the possibility of doing a park monitor. We want to explore what the cost is for key card access. We are asking for signage to go up. We would like for exploring the cost of new forts. I think that's it.
Adjusting phone times.
Adjusting phone times, adjusting phone times, yeah.
Make sure.
And I do want to say, I did speak with Grand Manners. It was explored for advantage tennis, and they are not in violation of any part. It's fine. So we can, currently payment. What's going on?
Let's go.
Are you done?
Questions?
Nope, we don't have them.
Oh, why,
We
why?
don't have them. If you can't, I'm gonna ask you to leave, please.
Oh, why are you allowed to ask comments?
Please leave. On our comments part of it is included. We have that section.
Well,
We have that section, so you can either.
it's just a certain question about a meeting.
I'm gonna ask you, and then I'm gonna call the boards, please.
You're gonna call it.
Thank you. So on that,
Victoria,
yeah,
that was Charles Richard. He was a board member. That's why he was talking.
yes,
Okay, that's my question.
I was. It was Charles, who is, yes. Yeah.
They have a question. I call Timothy and say, hey, we are, why this time that's based on tennis, that based on this, right now. Tuesday, 6:44, I'll be there like 7 o'clock, 4 brands, chatting, and think that, how you gonna work? I need to call Nikki and say, can I make things or just show me the
If you're all residents, you show.
Just show it. If it's, that is not, we'll play, just wait 1 hour and we'll. I think that's why we're talking about the sign on the app. Here's one slide of your bird, right?
Okay, so I'm gonna ask for a motion. I'm gonna say this one more time to make sure I'm saying it correctly. That we will bump the programs back till 8 from 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. We will ask for signs to be made, not only for tennis. Do we want to look at this for explore for other programs as well?
Right.
I mean, like, there's not a place to hang it on a soccer field or a baseball field, so we would discuss a park monitor and see about exploring 2 part-time ones. And then we would also explore the cost for new ports and the cost for park key access, like tapping it.
So I think it's the park monitor versus the technology. Listen,
Or how to implement
it's
combination
the
of all.
core combination.
That's fine.
Associated.
Sure, okay.
Is that awesome?
For all of that, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Okay.
Victoria, I'll just note, I asked Jose to add this discussion to the technology committee meeting next Wednesday. He's adding it.
I know, and I think for committees that are all with integration, like, because this integrates with technology, but then once we have that money, that integrates with finance. So I would love to have our fingers on multiple pies today to partner together.
So I think once you guys are done.
and government starting regulators. I think still have any for forum, so we are going to continue with the spring park playground proposal. Thank you much for name. Okay, so. Sounds like it's very good, but it sounds like we're on the top line, playground. And not exceeding more than $400,000. Please correct me if I'm wrong with that. So the committee was looking at recommendations on playground equipment, right? So it's been part of it. Katie emailed us this afternoon asking for what design aspects as a committee we would like to possibly recommend. So I did Google what are trends for 2024 in community playgrounds, and I will just tell you what came up, and you can say what you want. One of the things is shade, which we've discussed many times. One of the things is safety surfacing, so where the children play, the materials beneath the structures and beneath their feet, that it would be a safety surface, not necessarily mold or something like that. Another thing was sustainable materials and eco-friendly designs. Another thing was inclusivity for anyone with disabilities. This not only includes wheelchair, but this also includes sensory play. So that those with sensory issues, they would have certain playground aspects that apply to them, as well as the quiet zone that applies to them. So if they need a moment to just chill before they go back and play, there's a safe space to do that. And the last one was interactive digital play. So an augmented reality, or again, more sensory technology. When I Googled this, because I did not know what it meant, do you remember the game Simon that had like all the different colors?
Yeah.
It's basically that, but they were like pillars in the ground. So a bunch of kids get together and play, and it says red, and you could go and touch the red one. So it keeps them moving in it, but it is a solar powered digital way of doing it. Another one was called the electronic spider play. And it was like one of the climbing nets, but it had different ways to do it in different games rather than just climbing. So those were the 5 top trends right now for 2024 in community playgrounds. And I will put that on the floor for thoughts, additional thoughts.
Did you mention sustainability and eco-friendly?
Yes, sustainable materials and eco-friendly design. So the implementation of not only the materials, but like maybe we want to rainwater harvesting or stuff like that. Yes.
I have a question. We are only talking about top lines.
Yes. Yes.
That's their drawings.
This is, yeah, and I don't know if you had a chance, they were, did you guys have a chance to look at the, okay. The renderings. Yeah, and if you guys could give us your suggestions on what you'd like to see for the design, we can then take that to top line.
And at this point, we're just suggesting. I mean, I have no idea how much an augmented reality, that Simon thing would be.
I can tell you it's gonna be outside the forum. That's the number exchange.
What did you brought that up? You just need to check it.
I Googled 2024 trends for community playgrounds.
I think
Because I know nothing about it.
the one, to give you like a reference, the one they proposed there is right around 270.
Yeah.
I think, on those drawings. So the board agreed to go up to 400.
And that looks like all grass underneath, so.
Well, we say when
It's
it's probably
artificial
a trend,
Sure.
but I thought they're leaning towards.
I will say that there is a lean towards mulch. Mulch is considered a safety surface if, as long as it's at least 12 inches deep, sometimes up to 16 inches deep, depending on the height of the fall zone. Sorry, there's a lot of learning about playgrounds lately.
What about the combination thereof?
Yes, you can, and I will say, one of the vendors did recommend a combo of artificial turf under the the tree that's there and have the top lot there and then mulch under the larger kids sections where they're running around in. And I know that was there previously where you had a split between, you had artificial turf and mulch there. So that is an option for cost savings, depending on what pieces you're looking at.
The mulch is much cheaper.
Yeah.
And is that rubber mulch or not?
No, it's wood chips essentially, like.
I don't know kids, I didn't want to the old park. Yeah. Was there any issues with the turf? I'm worried about the roots. Because artificial turf is less maintenance if you don't have all the factors. It's a lot of treatments.
I would say right now, I mean, if you go out there now and you see Spring Park, it is mostly turf.
It is mostly turf.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what's been there and what the residents that use it do kind of expect. So, I can look.
But has there been issues, any issues?
Is it-
Was there a lot of maintenance involved?
Yeah, artificial turf is at least 10 degrees warmer than
That was
natural
my
turf.
understanding.
Did you ever go to Lakeside Pool? The kids' feet will get burnt on that turf down there.
There is good shade here.
Yeah, just roots.
The top line did say, their proposal included 10,000 square feet of turf. I don't know, do you know, would that be the full park or is that part?
That's their whole version of the park. I think depending on how, depending on how many pieces and how much of this space you utilize for those pieces, you're anywhere between 10,000 to all close to 14,000 square feet of space where you're putting equipment and need fall zones and like in front of swings, you need 34 feet in front of and 32 in a back, so you can front to back for the swing zone. So there's a bunch of different considerations.
What about, how hot do these slides get? Because I know in Island there's a really severe problem with in the summer, the kids can't use the slide. So because they're little things.
I don't think you necessarily have that problem as much here because of the tree canopy, which is beneficial.
Yes, and that comes back, well, this one here is what we're discussing now, but in the future shade is just, in
We
my
are.
opinion, mandatory.
We're looking into that for Island Village and East.
Yeah, we have issued an RFP for East Village and Island Village.
I can't tell you how many parents, oh, you want. Okay, let me swap. Yeah, this, we need sitting on like. Sitting on concrete.
Catherine, you don't have to see any snow.
Yeah, we do. I knew that was her time.
Would it be, and I'm just throwing something out there, just because I know it's hard to start kind of thinking of ideas to throw out there to add equipment to something when we're just starting a conversation. Would it be beneficial to maybe ask top lines after tomorrow's vote, obviously, to ask them to come up with 3 different alternative renderings at a better price point? And then give those to you guys to suggest changes and alternatives to that, so you're not starting from a net zero?
Yeah, the only thing that I would add to this is I don't see it inclusive. I don't see it wheelchair accessible. I don't see it sensory accessible. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what to suggest for that. But
I think
they do.
you suggesting that enough, you can tell them to come up with something that, you know, encompasses that
Yeah.
design. And then they can show you, and then you guys say what you think, like you said, about 3 different ones within the price range. And
Especially the quiet area, it has to be designated. Once I connect, it's a quiet area.
Yeah, one of the vendors did have a quiet area where you could step away kind of underneath and just kind of have your own space. I can't remember this one. It's Comcast, probably.
It
was Compton, yeah.
Little ones.
Yeah.
They're watching, they want their little ones to sleep, but they can still watch their big ones.
Because I will say the circumvention is going back around the tree. So the whole thing, like,
I said, none of them have benches, none of these proposals.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So we can,
That's
That's on us.
furnishings in back on us. We removed the furnishings from there for the project and we will return them.
So
We have a big $400,000 of beauty, it's nice, but. My personal, as a resident, should be amazing.
Yes.
All the kids can say, wow, I want to live here because of
Right.
the playground. It's like,
Sometimes I like to even just go down to watch the kids play, because it's relaxing, at least to me. I mean, it's a nice thing.
ground, I still recommend synthetic turf. I don't recommend the mulch or the rubber mulch because it's easy to analyze. People come here with bad intention to broke their glass, and you should dry everything out and.
As long as we have the shade, and in this case we do. The other thing that happens with mulch is that pick up mulch and manage it.
to waste that too.
But this is a lot of money.
What is the difference?
But if you have it to this far.
It was about 50%.
Yeah.
No, in the deduction.
It was like.
Do you have the,
Like 30,000.
was it 30?
So I would say the other thing that we were talking about was at town hall last night after the meeting was Spring Park is an open facility. It is also a location where your lovely teenagers like to go and drink and smoke. We have also found people nodding off there after injecting. So this is a location where it's easy for non-residents to enter and hide in the bushes. So if you have, I'm not advocating against mulch because personally I have no issue with mulch, but if you have mulch, that is another location where broken glass, needles, somebody drops a razor, what have you, it is something that can injure a child.
So it's 74,000.
74.
That much, yeah, 74. It's a lot.
Wild shoes about it. Why not have, what about splash pad?
That 270.
Yes. This this would be really necessary.
Do we like that it's open? Do we like that it's open? Do we like that it's not gated?
Well,
I mean,
there's
that's
a
pretty
whole other chain link fence at Island Village Elementary School that they just take it out. And it's just lying there. That can be repurposed.
Right, which is.
Your design guidelines, the partners, we use the iron.
Yeah, they changed the on to the iron fencing for the chain link.
That's because of design guidelines.
Okay, so in our recommendations, we're talking about inclusivity. We're talking about sustainable materials, the possibility of some type of eco-friendly stuff, whether it's harvesting rain or something like that, that.
I do think that, what did they say? Their materials are, okay, do you know Tom?
Top Line said that they're, are we talking about the turf?
No, yeah.
Copan was the eco, was the made out of the recycled plastic, the sea stone. I don't know if Top Line is or not, but they did not mention it.
They mentioned something about something being sprayed on antibacterial.
They was microbial.
Yeah, so if you bring a dog on there, it won't.
Well, when artificial turf first came out, immersion was a big problem. People get.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they did now.
Okay, so inclusivity, both ADA accessible and sensory play, sustainable materials, eco-friendly if possible.
Shade, just to revisit that.
Shade is.
And at this particular place, we just, the tree does a lot, but we need to see if we need to add a few smaller ones or something like that.
Well, we can't put trees in the playground.
No, like that.
Like I said.
We do 40% of it, and then we
Like a
have
sale.
something else that we need for the other 60%. Anything else?
I just want to see their other versions. Those-
Yeah, so something would allow after this one gets these to work.
Guess I feel for.
Yeah, look in the AR, so they don't think in reality, just see what they.
Did you see the chair that's in the drawing?
Yeah.
That chair is like the chair at Twisty Tree.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a big, like, looking at the drawings, it looks like a little chair. But it's gonna be a big chair. with-
Like all over cows for that shit.
Yeah.
POS, PBR, media.
But now what's the, want something more, is there, take out the chair as a trade-off to balance the budget?
Well, the chair they're considering
We could
as climb equipment. The kids will take pictures on it, will climb on it.
As it is.
because both drawings do not include the chair, right? Only
No,
one.
but I did see it on.
Oh.
Yeah, so yeah, we don't have to.
And it really doesn't show the placement of it, it just shows. But I think the chart would be shit and they can put the hour over, so I should go on there.
I think it would be really nice. Like, would I maybe choose something else instead of the chair? That's a possibility.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yes.
Request that.
All right, let's see what it looks like. We'll keep going on. Before we go on, I do want to be respectful of time. It is 7:00. Can everybody go on? Are you kidding you? Because you're on like 2:00.
Personally, I like it.
Okay, I'm gonna, basketball court discussion, we kind of had it. Is there additional to be said with it?
There's concerns from which for the preseason Thursdays play 6 to 8 p.m. There's concerns with youth who want to play. I think we need to discuss either getting back completely or kids have a chance.
So the kids get out of school, the men are on there after work. The kids can't play. Men have assigned times right now and they are able to play. Is there any thoughts real quick about moving it men's back to 8:00 where the kids can play first?
I don't think that's such a terrible idea.
Do I have a motion to propose to Crow that we would move the basketball time for the adults to 8 p.m. where the kids could play? This would be Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday?
They play Tuesdays and Thursdays as a right now. Yeah, so Tuesday, Thursday, 8.
What time? Till 10? Do they get 2 hours?
They get 2 hours.
Okay, that would give us 8 10. Do I have a motion? Motion. Rob, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on, the DNA vending machine, we're moving to the next meeting. The next one is the Celebration Foundation Winter Wonderland request. This was emailed out to us a little bit beforehand, so I'm going to give my thoughts on this real quick and then open it up for discussion. In regards to this, one of the things that I noticed is that the pool was not part of the proposal. The reason is because we had so many complaints from residents that the pools were off limits for this event. However, I do know in this room, there were multiple Christmas trees, multiple rounds and decor. I also know that if they were to use the pool, that rain backup is a concern as well for that. I have a hard time approving this right now with honestly not seeing a diagram of what decor would look like, because we would need to say the number of people that could be here. I know that last year there were 150 tickets total that were either sold or comped, and that did not include any staff or caterers or bartenders, which was fine because they have the pool. This room with nothing in it is 120 people. So once you add all that decor, you know that I want to be able to look them in the eye and go, this is really going to be a fundraiser for you, or is it not? Because I can't let that many people in here. So I would ask for, we've done this with other groups, basically a safety plan that includes a diagram of the room. And then it would also include the estimated number of tickets to be given. And that would include both sold and comped, as well as the estimated number of staff to work that. And then we would be able to say whether it was really accommodated. And then it would have to stay in here with alcohol. If the pool is going to be open, we cannot have alcohol being dispersed out
Are they
there.
looking to exclude the pool, or are they okay with this?
Right now, they are not asking for the pool.
They're not. Did they ask for it last year?
My question is, they used it last year. They used it. So the part, if you look out these windows, these awnings were where the bartender and food buffets were set up. And then there was lots of tall boys. So it was very lovely because they could go right on out and expand out there. However, it was a town dissatisfier. So that was, and they're aware of that. That was the reason for not asking for it this time. We could say that we could continue out onto there to put buffets and stuff like that and pipe and drape it. However, I still don't think alcohol could be, because it's really easy to go through the pipe and drape and the story goes from there. So, that's my comments on that. Comments?
I think to see a floor plan and how much space is gonna be taken up by decorations versus human beings is a really good idea. So you can see a reasonable and safe. As far as the outside goes, I think it should stay contained.
There's a, I think that it must be, must stand open.
Plus caterer, bartenders and staff, so foundation staff.
You said this is.
This is one empty. So I want to be able to look at them and say, this is a good viable option for you. And I also want to be able to look at any resident and know that we haven't set ourselves up for a loss. It also needs to make sure that's wheelchair accessible.
Why do they shoot that? There's
There's no walls.
Huh?
There's no walls.
2 years, a year, not as bad for that.
There was walls a couple of years ago from.
Last year they did it here, the year before that, they did it at town hall, and we did it remediation immediately after.
So we would ask for estimated number of people, including staff, sold, all the things. We would ask for a diagram with the estimated decor and tables, all of that, that's there. We would also ask for if they wanted to go out into that awning, that there would be a no alcohol policy. If they have it in here. And I don't know, it to.
For the record, Charles.
What happened?
For the record, Charles left the between meetings. So we're not at work. Share.
Yeah, because the other thing is they have to add pay for share. Which we're doing for all events, whether it's lakeside, here. Protects everybody inside, everybody outside. Do I have a motion that we would go back to the celebration? Go first.
We approve as it is, and as to the company staff to take care of all that. If they saw something different or wrong, they come back to the community and say.
My only thing is they're expecting 150 plus on here, and this is 120.
Right.
So we already know we can't do this part. And then to what this, I mean, this number is really the big piece of it. Whatever this number turns out to be that we could approve depends on that diagram. But we know we can't do 150 now. They did it last time because they had full that. Again, about 96%.
I do have Nikki and I talked about as a suggested alternative is if they wanted to utilize the pool deck next year, we could leave the pool open, but bring some of those flag curtains and the rods from town hall, create kind of a separated off space in the pool. And it also creates a more of a barrier as well from the pool itself.
And if they do that, what would the alcohol stands be?
I would say keep alcohol in the building, but at least that would give you some more square footage in terms of people numbers.
And would we add that to labor to monitor? I just don't want alcohol getting out by the pool by the kids.
Walking through the curves.
I think if you have them initiate an alcohol, provide like an alcohol policy, like a safety plan, then I think you're okay insurance
Yeah,
wise.
so now with an alcohol. Okay, so let me recap this. Okay, so we are asking for a diagram of what this room would look like. We would ask that if they want to pipe and drape it, included in the safety plan will be an alcohol policy. We would ask for the estimated number of people, including comp tickets, sold tickets, any staff, whether it be caterer, bartender, foundation, any staff at all, for the estimated number of people up here. We would ask the safety plan to include the sheriff. And estimate. Do I have a motion for what I just said? Okay, Rob. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous for that. Okay,
Sorry, as a workshop, can invite John to be here with us.
yeah, he's a proud member and Charles left, so we can have three, so since Charles left, we are okay, come on up.
Thank you.
Island Village rental, I'm trying to not do these real quick.
Yeah.
Island Village rental facility waiver request.
I have to recuse myself on this one.
So my understanding for this one is previous CROA board had allowed for the homeowners of Island Village to, they have meet and greets, which they had, 3 total meet and greets in 2023. Where basically all the residents are invited to come to the clubhouse and,
Get to know each other.
get to know each other without any rental costs. She's recruising herself. This is a full vote.
Do I know?
You can still. We can still.
Okay, I go for it.
Okay, so that is that. In the past, it was, waived that there was no cost. They write on the back, that's the letter of it. They've had people sponsor it, it says who sponsors it. So the question is, the only cost for these functions may be an hour of Park and Rec's co-workers' time. So that would be the monitors for that. Are there any other costs that you are aware of? Okay, so that is the only cost that goes to it. They said they had 3. I'm assuming they're asking for 3 in this next year, so between now and, yeah, well, they, right now, this is just actually requesting 1 in April. So they will 3 a year.
I'm sure everybody will be into precinct.
Comments on this?
That's awesome. We should have one for each year. It's amazing.
And that's a lot that is anything else.
I really like it.
Those, you know, let's just.
That's really
You need to everybody welcome to come. You don't need anybody, you know who they are, but you don't need.
From a Grand Manor's point of view, any concern regarding the cost of this?
It's the one, the park monitors time. It usually requires us to adjust schedules for park monitors to have somebody out there with them doing that instead of doing their standard duties. So we're adjusting park monitors that way. It's a little bit of a tricky week for us, but it's not the end of the world. I would just say from an equity standpoint, we would probably need to mix up the other villages and make it known and publicized to be able to know this, that we could potentially have up to however many would grant to Island Village to use their specific village. Because the original intent behind this, from my understanding of the board, and those are 2 of you that were there, can't correct me if I'm wrong, was to acknowledge the difficult time that the residents had out there with the transition between Mattamy and CROA, and they were just getting bounced back and forth between the 4 different entities out there essentially. And it's to just give them a little bit of something for them to use their next center.
So when you say open this up to other village, are you saying North Village could go to the clubhouse?
No, I'm saying North Village could utilize their amenity center for a free gathering X number of times.
And what if it doesn't have an amenity center, right? East Village.
I mean, your pool is essentially your amenity center in East Village. That's kind of the struggle that I'm having with this in terms of an equity standpoint.
Thoughts about being a resident? The pool area is really lovely. I think if they want to schedule it to just take place in the pool area, I think that would be nice too. We don't have to have it inside.
My thought is if it's in the pool area and everybody has their park IDs, it would be something that could be organized and not necessarily have to be a celebration event, authorized event. But if James would like to say, hey, on April 12th, everybody want to come out to the pool area. We're going to be there starting at 5:30 and be there till 8:30 and just have our own little impromptu. then he can still do that. Everybody has their IDs and it's legal. We're not doing any additional cost to the town, and we've taken away the someone in Aquila Loop going, what?
Because it, like I said, it is very nice. It's not.
I think it's a great idea.
Expanded. I mean, there's quite a few people go. I'd say maybe anywhere between 75 to 125 at the most.
Wait, that's how many people have showed up?
Yeah.
125?
Just at times, yeah.
There was a
That's
limit.
a lot.
Right, there was,
It's usually not that many. I mean.
I know, but there was
60 to 75 was about average. Not everybody goes, and none of the.
Just saying, as an average event celebration like this, that's a lot.
Oh, okay.
No,
Which
I'm
is-
saying-
Which is good that that's a bit of attendance, that's just.
I was saying the room accommodation, the occupancy.
Yeah.
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 Yes, Nikki, what's your comments?
So how do you get the big, do the right? Second, if you allow certain parts of track, whatever's partner to do and pop up. So we can try to sit down certain businesses. So we can try to work. So you're saying that we can control it a little bit more?
Yeah, because you need your ID to get it.
So
not-
I
I
like
think
to,
yes,
I like to move on. They've been doing the open houses at the different amenity centers. And I know we've had a bunch of it throughout different times in last year and this year, people have mentioned the lights and lemonade that used to happen in Celebration. What if we tried to expand the meet or the open houses to accommodate something that encompasses kind of like what was happening out in Island Village, but also makes it open to residents from all of Celebration and various amenity centers. But you can, it's still localized in the villages.
But to address James, he's ready to do this next month. Is that something you guys would be able to do next month?
Yeah, I mean, we can.
Clubhouse even available in that Sunday ones?
5:30, yes. It's just like you said, we have the market staff, they sit out there. And that's their, show. So we can do it, it is possible.
But I'm saying if you did your pop-up like you're asking for, then that still accommodates what James wants to do. Is it able to be done in April? If you were doing it
If you
instead of us.
done it in April, you just gotta internally review it. It's, we have in-house program. Days.
So instead of this being an equipment rental application, we're saying you don't have to do this instead. Our community. So he's not responsible. Nick is.
Yeah, I think work with Pro staff on the.
Yeah.
Just come and talk to them.
Yeah, I mean, definitely collaboration.
And it's very, very community minded.
Sure. No, and I think it still accomplishes what he's looking to do.
Yeah.
Which
Yes, it's basically, he just wants everybody to get together.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
I would like to propose that we move the team program to April. Any member comments? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Marco, is that the other Catherine? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Just one.
Maybe you don't have to.